You guys see the screen? Let me see. Okay.
Yeah, just you know that screen is recording.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. So here, actually, the link is. I'm pretty sure everyone needs to access Dynatrace. You need to submit a request to the TMSS for the access, and they will grant you access. So since I have this dashboard here shared to everyone, so if you have access to Dynatrace, you should be able to see this dashboard. This is the PPS dashboard for production. For configuration wise, not much we can do because like Dynatrace team control everything here. So if you need to submit a request to send you notification like for email or for GChat, you need to submit a request to them and they will set it up for you. So there's nothing you can set up in here. The only thing you can do here is you just build your own dashboard and they provide you all the tools here to build your own dashboard, whatever you need on the dashboard. So this is my custom dashboard. I build a pretty detailed to monitor everything from network to service to servers, everything. So you can see here, I do a pretty very detailed see the problem. If any problem show up, it will show up here. And talk about the problem, let me show you something real quick. Like you can, right now there's no problem, but if you click on the tab on the left-hand side here, problem, see right now the environment is healthy. But if you want to see for the past week, past hour, it can show you right here. Let's say last 72 hours. It shows last 72 hours of what problem we had, and then you actually can drill down to the detail what problem you had earlier. Let's say like this Vida Gucci service right here. Yeah, I have one problem here. You can actually look and then drill down to the detail, actually to down to the code base or store procedure. Yeah, it shows you like every detail. If you like can drill it down, you can actually view the pure path, what the problem was. You can see right here, these all they actually give you the logs and all the detail too, so you can actually drill down to pretty detail. Let me go back to the dashboard again. GPS dashboard. Yeah, so I set up, so also monitor database. And so if you go to database and all the database related to PPS, it will show up here. And it gives you all the response and the fail rate. It will show you everything. And application, this all IIS and all the PPS website, it shows you everything, the response, the network, everything. And also user, it tell you like how many concurrent user is active and show you all these sessions right here. And if you want, sometimes like the user report they have an issue, you can actually go to analyze like individual user, and it show you see all these like whoever log in and what they do. You can actually monitor and look at what they do actually and find out what their problem is. But if you want to do the live session debugging, you need to contact the Dynatrace team to set up. Right now, we don't have it set up for live session debugging. But you can go back and see what user had problem earlier. Let's say you click on to one of the user, see it tell you how long they've been on the session and what they do is a step by step. It shows you it's pretty detailed. Okay, let's go back. Okay, and now also set up all these like database performance. It tell you like. Let me show you something real quick. See if you need. I can send you guys this thing right here later. If you need access, set up the request to Dynatrace from Frank Han. Usually I work with him, and you can set up some requests, and then there's some like training there. And if you want to even more detailed training about Dynatrace, you can contact Frank Han, and he can set up 1 hour session with you guys, and he can go into more detail like how you debug all this stuff and how you set these up. I can forward this email to you guys later.
Yes, please. Yeah, please send
Okay.
it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And see if you want to set up the Dynatrace alerts, like right here. You need to contact the team, the Dynatrace team, to set it up to send you email or whoever you want to send it to. And you can tell right here, they send you pretty detailed, all these like problems. Most of the time, I just ignore these because like Dynatrace is pretty sensitive. Sometimes, like it slow down a little, it send you an alert too. So, like unless you see the real problem and then you look at it. But most of the time, it's resolved by itself because like it's very sensitive. If it slow down a little, see the rate increase, the failure increase like a couple percent, it send you an email, send you alert too. So depend on the threshold, you can tell them they can set up the threshold for you. And also it send you email and also send you to Google Chat. You can set that up too. I had that before, but then somehow like the security team keep kicking me out, so I just say forget it. I just keep my email.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also monitor the infrastructure, all the hosts, all the servers, see all these servers relate to PPS. It show everything and it show the health. You can go into individual and look at the health and the percentage and something. Does someone have a question? Okay. And I also set up like all these servers. It tell you all these percentage, like what the CPU percentage, and then the disk availability, and also the memory is available. So I set up everything and all these services. So right now it's all green. So if you see any red dot on here, that means there's some service have problem. You can go in and look at the individual services in detail.
So with this 51 services, what does this consist of? Is it just a REST API service, or I can
no, everything. It can be Java service, can be IBM WebSphere, anything. You can monitor everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And actually, there's some Java in here too. I think IBM. Yeah, see right here, some of these are WebSphere from IBM.
okay,
Yeah. So yeah, whatever service you have, like, it can monitor everything.
got it. And
Yeah.
why do we need these services that we need to monitor through PPS? Yeah.
No, see, because like PPS depend to a lot of third-party services. So sometimes, let's say like the Informatica, like for the facility address lookup, it failed. So in here, it will show you. It will show you it trying to connect to Informatica and it failed. So it connect to all these like from the Nodo, Informatica, everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So
which means that Raja, the Dynatrace gave us the signal when we had that Informatica issue.
Currently, the facility service which we are calling the Informatica URL, there's no specific monitoring on that. We are still working on that to set up. But these are like a service wide in case of anything, service is failing. But Informatica failures, what we observed in the last MI, is not that service is completely down. So service is not returning the expected response due to license issues and all. So the current one Kang is showing is only gonna see whether the service is up and if there are anything returning it here. But the more advanced like a logging we are trying to see and implement based on the exception log, where in case invalid address or service exception with 500 return code, those things we are going to capture it from the exception log and notify the ECC immediately. We try to set up that same monitoring on the Informatica URL, but we realized that when we set up a monitoring on that URL, the Dynatrace is going to keep hitting that URL, right? That URL is not a freeware, so they're going to charge for each hit. So that's going to add, I think, the $5,000 or something per year or something. So instead of spending, hitting that direct URL, we thought of putting a monitoring on the exception log where it's going to log some standard exception for the failures. So based on that, we'll notify the ECC in case of Informatica service is not returning the proper data.
Got it. And so from Dynatrace perspective, I know you showed us a lot of email alerts that you are getting. Do you have a document where what is configured as of now?
The configuration, no, all that behind the scene from the Dynatrace team. So we have no configuration at all. We don't have any access. We need the admin right to go to the configuration, though. We don't have that access.
So do we know what we requested for? Or,
if you contact Farhan, then you can request and get email notification or G-chat notification. He can set that up for you. Yeah.
Okay. Now, my question mainly is what kind of a configuration we asked Frank to do it, or is Frank by default enabled something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have any control over that. Yeah.
Okay. And to get the notification to us, also we need to contact Frank and just tell him any PPS notification, please add us, something like that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You want him to add you or the email distribution list to the notification and whoever you want to send email to.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
And so from the API setup perspective, Raja, going back to that 500 error, so does Dynatrace captures that also? Any request going from this API, can we see that request here?
For that, actually, what they're planning based on the previous discussion, so they're going to use the Zabbix. Zabbix is a free tool, so they can apply that exception log-based monitoring using the Zabbix tool. So we don't have any problem with that, right? So we ultimately we need a notification whether they use the Dynatrace or Zabbix. It's not a big deal for us. And the other question you asked about that, what we requested for PPS, I don't think we requested anything specifically for related to APIs or anything, but they enabled it for all the services on the website level and also on the API side, all the services, all the REST services, what we implemented for PPS, they enabled it on the Dynatrace side. But what missing here is that actual external URLs, like OAM, when we log into the application, getting the user identities or user role check or whatever, those direct URLs, those are not configured actually here. So now, as we are getting few issues, not very frequent though, but we observed based on the past experience, the majority issues in the last 2 to 3 MI is related to the Informatica. And also we observe sometimes the slowness or kind of issues with the Denodo services. So those are the 2 major things we would consider, and remaining all the services we never encounter any kind of incidents or issues for the PPS application. So OEM services are very response time is fast, and there's no slowness on OEM side unless they have major issue overall and village-wide. Village-wide issues, anyway, that's going to impact all the applications also along with PPS. But especially for PPS, Informatica is the current our focus mainly present, to see if we can get a immediate notification if something went wrong with that. And after this, probably we have to set it up for the Denodo URLs and see if any delay or anything issues with the Denodo URLs, because they have a kind of a design where they keep all the cache in a common for all the village-wide applications. If something went wrong with that cache, so it's gonna start scanning all the main tables, and then that could delay the overall service responses and all. So that's the next point we have to concentrate. But for now, we're working with the team to set it up the JABX monitoring for the Informatica URL.
Okay. Okay.
And also, a quick note, for each API, each services, we do the exception logs to file, either to files or to database. You can ask the Dynatrace team to actually scan those log files for the specific keywords and email you. So if you want to go to that detail level, exception detail, they can set that up for you too.
Okay. In the current production support, when, let's say, if we receive any email from Dynatrace, what are the things that, to take care of? Let's say
Yeah, usually, usually we get just a generic notification from Dynatrace, but if you want to go into detail, you can ask them to go into the specific detail to send you the email. See, right here, it's just generic setup, the threshold from Dynatrace. See, if anything they think is the failure rate increasing, they send you email. Yeah, so that's why most of these, that you can just ignore unless you're looking for the specific keyword or the specific threshold. You can ask them to set that up for you and send you a notification.
Looks like by looking at your email, we are getting so many notifications.
Yeah, so exactly.
I'm wondering
so you can ask them to increase this. If threshold is more than 50%, then send you email. Yeah. So this is a little too sensitive.
That is right.
Yeah.
Sometimes actual problem we may miss it. That's what I'm really want.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can give them specific threshold and they set it up for you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And anything else that we should know on the Dynatrace side, like any other exception that we should eye on that? Or
the exception, let me show you if I can show you my Reggie production. Let's say if you go to let me see the log. Yeah, see all these logs. See, we have all these logs on the app server, and we ask the Dynatrace to monitor these logs for a couple of specific keywords. Or you can actually run these individually. You can do your own query here.
Okay.
And then you can do a search manually. Yeah, so you can do that, or you can ask them. We ask them to look for a specific exception in these logs on the app server, and then send us email, and they do that for us too.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are all currently pointed. So if you even want to log, you can go there and open the log and see it?
Yeah, you can actually go in the log and actually open the individual logs and look at the logs too. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So then I believe, are we using Kibana or anything to ship this log, or just this Dynatrace? Yeah, that's how we are doing it.
It's just a Dynatrace, because usually you don't have access to the production server, right? So Dynatrace give you access to look at the logs. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Ramesh, you are aware of that, right? So with the new process, even the exception logs are not going to directly share with any teams. I mean the folders.
Oh yeah, that I know. The servers access have been removed. Yeah, that's why we went to that Kibana route, rather.
Correct. So
yeah. So with this log, we should be able to access all. Can you guys show what is the exception log and the error log, or is it same file?
Yeah, so depend on how detailed. Yeah, you can get the exception log, you can get detailed logs, or you can get Windows logs too. You can get everything.
Can you quickly show one? My question, let's say one API, if it throws any error, do we have two different log files in the application perspective? One for error log, one is for the normal log, or just one log file? It has all the information as well as the
no, actually, it depends. Yeah, because for us, I think for each service, right, Raja, we log to its own file or to the common files?
Yeah.
I think we log to a common file, right?
Facade is a common, but remaining services are separate files.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, if you know exactly where the log file is, either a database or a file, a system file, you can tell the Dynatrace to actually monitor where exactly that file is. So it depends on how you set up all these log files.
No, how it has been set up for PPS. Let's say I want to see the log file of one of the services. Can you show us how?
The last error from the log from the service?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Anyone.
see if
So currently these are stored on the file system, Ramesh.
Got it.
I'm not sure whether we have a link from the Dynatrace to access those log
I
files.
don't think we have.
Oh.
But I don't think we have a link to those log files.
So what are we doing now, Raja? Relying on the tier 2 team to send us the log?
Yep.
You can check
on the Dave and Jimmy. So support team.
You can check the pure path. You can check the pure path with 500 errors and get something from there. You can at least get the exception or database queries which are failing, etc. as well.
Yeah, this is something they're writing to log actually. 500 error throws from the other servers and that is not been monitored here, like the Informatica service.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not within us actually. Sorry, within PT.
Got it.
Yeah, we'll see what we can. I think we can. First thing we have to do is.
And if you want to have more detail about Dynatrace, how to set up and all these logs, you can set up a session with Frank. And then he can go over detail with you guys.
Okay.
So that's about it. That all these like dashboard. That's all we can do. Just like create our own custom dashboard, and that's it. And you can actually do edit right here. You can add all these tiles. All these tiles available for you to add to your custom dashboard. And nothing else, not much you can do about configuration or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you can do your custom chart. You can do your own reports. Like all these right here. A lot of things you can do. You can do a diagnostic right here, memory dump, and then top database statement. Actually, exception analysis. Let's see if you have any access.
It's more of we have to extend the current capabilities configured for PPS, Ramesh, and as we are gonna integrate with the new systems going forward, at least for the June release, we are integrating with the Schedule Lab and Salesforce, and maybe in future if we start integrating with other systems for OneView integration or any other integrations and all. I think it's better to work with the AMP team, Application Monitoring Performance team. The contact Frank on, like the Yang mentioned, so the team could work with Frank and then configure whichever the service is required, to be monitored and captured based on some kind of exceptions and all. The flip side of it, we don't want the system to be overloaded because of too much monitoring also. The scheduling URLs, there are certain load, per service. So we have to set those parameters like we could get only the top 10 facilities data. There are some limitations. If you keep hitting the URLs because of we just want to enable the monitoring, that also give poor results on the response side. It could impact the overall idea. So we have to be very careful and then see whichever the things we need it only go with the monitoring, and also if we are relying on the exception codes or the keyword based monitoring kind of thing. That would definitely give us notifications based on the exceptions logged on the files. And the other way of doing it is try to hit the other, external URLs that we have to consider so many parameters before we enable that monitoring.
Okay. Yeah, I think we shouldn't hit the URL to figure out the health of that application. There must be a different way. Raja, as you said, it's going to impact the performance. Just like what we have for .NET services, right? It is not going to hit the service directly. It resides on our server to check the health of the application. So something like that we need for other external system also.
Yeah, maybe we are hitting like a application pool. You have a kind of a file. I didn't remember, SFP, some file is there, right? The standard file that you are hitting, deploy the same file on the same application pool of the service and try to hit that file and see if the service responds. We're getting it like a pool is running and service is responding kind of thing.
Yeah.
Directly. There are ways to follow it. It depends on, case by case.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I think I would strongly, I will see what we can do based on our server. We'll try to create, send this log to Kibana. I'm not sure how this Dynatrace is going to work. Kibana actually helps us a lot in terms of the reading the log. That would be the first to work actually. So yeah, Rochak, I know Rochak has just joined. So Rochak, they just showed us what the Dynatrace offers for TPS, and currently what happens, right? If any error happens, and then we write error into the log file, but unfortunately because of the security policy, we are now not able to access those servers to get the log file. So we have to rely on tier 2 team to send us the log and figure that out. So what I was saying that is we need to send this log information to Elk. So through Kibana we can read it. So that must be our first job, just to make sure we get implemented so that it will send to Kibana.
Yeah, and that can go with the, I believe, June release also, right? Is that a possibility, Raju?
Yeah, what I'll do, I know what are the steps needed, Rochak. Let me see, because we need to, it's 416 only, right? I think it should be possible. I'll work with that Elk team also and see, they can turn it over quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for a certain exception, if you get a lot of certain specific exception, you can ask them to monitor that specific exception in the log. Yeah, you can set that up too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from this Dynatrace tool right here, if you go to exception, you can somewhat look at some of the exception detail. Let's see. Yeah, see right here, a couple of exceptions right here. You can actually look some of these like this. Let's say data SQL exception right here. You can actually see some of the exception detail right here too. Yeah, so this somewhat give you some kind of general exception, that you can look at it. Yeah, some detailed exception here you can look. Yeah, so if you need more detail, you need to set that up with Dynatrace here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for that.
Sure.
So if we don't have any other questions on Dynatrace, I'll cover the JABX monitoring. We did it for one of the interface.
Sure. Yeah, Raja. I'm good actually.
Okay, now I'll stop sharing this and then go ahead, Raja.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So initially when after go live, I would say many incidents we got it for the interfaces, for the outbound interfaces from from PPS to CBEL. Whenever the notifications generated on the PPS side, we do publish those notifications to CBEL, and those would display under the activities in CBEL application. So there were we observed initial stages many interface related issues. Like as per the framework, when the event is generated on the PPS side, we add it to the outbound queue. From outbound, a Windows service picks up that record and process that record, like calling the CBEL service and post that message to the CBEL. And if we receive a success message, we log that into the acknowledgement table, and if we receive an error message, we log that into the error log table. And for each message added to the outbound queue, we do have a reprocess logic, 2 times retry. That is also configured on our end. There is a configuration table. We can increase that retry counts. But currently it's configured to process a record total 3 times. When the first time record picked up and then processed it and it got errored, then that record is eligible for 2 more retry attempts. So overall, the 3 times configuration, set it up on the PPS side for any event message, which we're going to publish it from PPS to CBEL as outbound. So for the framework, if you could see always query on the table. So the very first table, this is the table for the outbound queue, the message outbound table, and the acknowledgement is the acknowledgement table, and this is error log table. When there is a message published to the CBEL and we got error, that is going to store it in the error log table. If you see this is the message, message outbound ID, this message outbound. The service try to post this message to CBEL, but CBEL service return some kind of exception. That exception, we're going to log it here in the comments. If this message got success in the next cycle, that will show under, in the message acknowledgement table. This is actual message outbound is the actual outbound queue table, where the service going to pick up 1 by 1 record and process it. So what Jabix monitoring, we set it up initially after go live. Actually, there were so many messages were added to this error log table due to CBEL connectivity issues and some message format issues, and there was so many use cases. So as the these messages got failed after 3 times, there's no other systematic retry process for these messages. Someone from the support team need to monitor it. When there is a notification received, we have to look at that event, particular event type, why this event got failed, and based on that, we need to communicate the details with the CBEL team to understand the root cause. And based on the root cause, we have to reach out to the product team or the business whether that record should be retickled and processed again. The reason is all these PPS events are very time-sensitive events. Like when a CRR is created, if there is insurance information, obviously IRR also get created. Those 2 events will be published to CBEL. If one received on CBEL end and other one is not received, like a IRR created event received, but CRR created event not received on CBEL end, it's not going to create an activity for DZS teammate to proceed further, right? So if the service is going to process the next 2 times to see whether that event is going to publish successfully or not. In the meanwhile, if DZS wants to proceed with the next steps, like proceed with the next activity creation and then CRR acceptance and all the steps, if they move ahead with those steps to complete the patient placement process, if they move ahead with those actions, there's no need of retickling these records again, right? Because they manually created activity on Siebel end and then they proceed with the next steps. So because of these time sensitive events, we have to definitely need to check with the product and business teams to see whether these records should be processed, again, or we can leave these records for now. That's always there for PPS application. So Jabix monitoring is going to look at this error log table to see if there are any records within the 5 minutes interval. If the record logged in error log table is processed again or successful or not. If within 5 minutes interval, if this record logged 3 times in a error log table, then we will receive a email like this with a outbound ID. Within those 5 minutes, so this this record got failed and it's available in an error log table, then someone from the support team need to check why this got errored out. You can check it in the comments, the error exception, and this we can share it with the Siebel team and then work on the next steps. So only for this interface, outbound interface purpose, the Jabix monitoring is currently enabled on the PPS side.
So it's basically you are checking if it is made 3 retry.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's failed 2 times, but the 3rd time succeeded, then Jabix monitoring is going to ignore that record. It's not required to notify the users. Right?
This Jabix alert, how does it keep track? Is it going to keep on alert? Because it's going to be 3 always, right? How does it know to stop it?
The SQL query, they're going to use the SQL query what we are going to share it with them, right? So the query what we get to them is like if you have a record which is in the outbound table, if it's not processed yet, and that is not qualified for the alert, right? But if there is a record here, even after 5 minutes, if it's not processed, service is frequency is set to 1 minute. So definitely whatever it is, use case like whether record success or failure, this record should be attempted by the service, right?
Right.
So if this record is there in the outbound but it's not picked up or picked up but it's not logged in the error log table or acknowledgement table. Sometimes service picked up the record but there's no response, like there's no acknowledgement or there's no error log. Something went wrong with the network connection or whatever it is. We lost that request. In those use cases also, the query is going to look at within the 5 minutes interval, I have a record which is not processed or which is processed but there's no error or acknowledgement, then I would consider this record as a failure record and notify the users. So those are the kind of SQL queries we shared with them to monitor it. If any of us qualify for notification, we get those errors. So sometimes we get messages like this also. Let me show. You see this one null. I don't know why we get these notifications with null. So we simply look at this. If there are any outbound IDs, then we look for the error message why it got failed. If it is null, we just ignore it.
Okay. So in the instance where you might be having failure, but you might not have acknowledgement because it's manually taken care in Siebel. So that time, what do you do, Raja? Will you run any trivial in this table so that the alert won't keep coming?
Only very few instances, like 1 or 2 so far. The Siebel team, they I mean, we didn't submit any trivial data mode or anything, data mode or anything. So I think Christina has some access. So she has some tool to trigger or update some events on Siebel side.
Okay.
So for these messages, as per my knowledge, no, we have given any trivial to update any of this.
So when Christina triggers it, it will come to acknowledge table. So that's how the Zabbix won't alert again.
Yes.
Okay.
So
got it.
now this outbound services also, stable. We don't see much issues, but today we got I think 2 or 3 messages got failed. Those we need to inform Siebel to see.
All right.
I think.
So when this come, your immediate action would be is contact Siebel team, right?
Yes. So with this data, we have to contact with them, like this message, right? 91961130. So the XML is also stored on PPS side. We just need to give this XML to them and then see what went wrong.
Got it.
This is one of the support activity whenever we get job message notification. So
is it the only Zabbix alert, Raja?
Yes, this is only one configured, and also you're working with John to get the new group, right? So that Zabbix alert should be updated to send the notification to the new group. This currently it's sending it to the Siebel and PPS patient access groups. That's also that we actually added Siebel support group to this Zabbix monitoring because it's a time sensitive. Both systems should know at the same time. Even if we are busy, like PPS team is busy with something else, the Siebel team can go ahead and see what went wrong with this particular event on their end. They have, I think, monitoring enabled for few events on their end also, Siebel side.
Okay.
So that's all to cover. So any other questions on this?
Would you mind sharing that query also, the Zabbix alert query, Raja? Whatever is been.
I'll try to find if I have that. Otherwise, I'll give you the contact person where we work with, setting up this one, because it's I think 6 months before. I need to find that email.
Sure.
If I have that email, I'll forward. Otherwise, I'll give you the contact person where we can get that actual query figured it. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
I do have one request. I know it was talked about with someone else who couldn't make it into the meeting today, that it would be beneficial to do some code walkthroughs on some of the PPS code. Is that something that could be set up for sometime next week?
The code walkthrough, you are looking for a specific components?
Oh, go ahead, Rochak.
I was just about to say that not like we don't need all the code walkthrough, right? If we could give the team, Raja, like one of the components from start to end, that probably helps them. I don't know. Maybe just, let me know what you need actually.
I think that's probably what would be beneficial. I agree. I don't think it needs to be everything, but I just know there were some discussions, and it seems like, at least one process start to finish might be, might give a lot of clarity.
Just to clarify, we had that KT on DPP, Ramesh, right? And Sriram gave us a walkthrough the code.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that kind of a thing should be they are asking for, like Stacy and Brittany. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Probably one piece is of component, Raja, which been made and which the call has been made and things like that. That should be enough.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Agree. Thank you.
So we can do for a facility set, CRR creation process. That's the most important complex one. So for the end-to-end use case facility set and creating the CRR, we could cover the Angular, facade, and the services, what services we are using it, and how we calling the database, and then end-to-end flow. So I believe that should give more idea for the team to understand the flow.
That would be great, sir.
Yeah, I think what else we have it in the agenda? Let me quickly. Monitoring, production support. I think the 516, 456 we covered. The June release and release planning, those are the two open things to discuss. And yeah, we can add this code walkthrough as one line item as a 10th item.
Okay.
So next session, we could cover this code walkthrough. And if we have time, we can discuss about the June release overview and then EMPI integration. And at the end, we can discuss about, I think Raj is going to give that session, that release planning KT. With that, we can conclude the transition unless if there are any open questions or any other topics to be covered.
All right. Thanks, Raja.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Anything else we need to do?
Monday's meeting, we can go over those points.
Okay, so for now we have like 8-9 minutes left. So are we good on the monitoring piece? Raja, anything else to be shared?
No, I'm good on our end. Yeah. Unless any questions from team.
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Okay, then
I'm
we'll
good too.
that session next Monday, I believe. Next session is. All right. Have a good weekend, guys. Take care. Thanks, Raja, his team.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.